John Claire. Uh, Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Dis-Cember 2023. We're on High School Musical 3, of course. What else would it be? I did 1 and 2. Would I skip that one? I don't know. Let's do the next one. Let's do something. Oh my god. So High School Musical 3. If you could tell by my face, it is a little red. This movie makes me cry, and it didn't used to. When I went to the theater to see this, so I didn't cry when I went to the theater to see this. Excuse me. Like I said, I got my friend Tim into these movies, and then we decided we're gonna go to the movie theater here in town when it was still open, and go see this in the theater because they announced that not only is the third film coming, but it's gonna go to theaters. And let me tell you something. Watching this again, this is definitely the best looking. It has the best performances, the best musical performances, that sort of thing, because it was done for the theater. Everything is just bumped up, and it looks much better than the others too, because they probably had a bigger budget than the other two. They were TV budget. This is a theatrical budget. So yeah, and yes, I didn't used to cry with this movie. It's weird though, because it's usually the end of the movie that makes me cry. But I started crying at the beginning. I don't know why. I don't know. So it's their senior year, right? So something I thought about this morning when I was at work is the timeline of these movies. All three movies take place within one entire year, if you really think about it. A year's time. 2006 to 2007, if you think about it. Okay? So, the first film starts right after winter break in January of 2006. The second film is the summer of that year in 2006, so about June. So this picks up in the last quarter of that next year, so it's 2007. So this is the graduating class of 2007. And yes, these came out. Oh, senior year, it's called at the end. That's Musical 3 senior year. So, of course, it focuses on their freshman year. No, I was kidding. Their senior year. And I mentioned this before, but they heavily advertised the song, the music video for the song Now or Never. Which I figured, since it was the basketball game, that was going to be towards the end. No, that is the very first thing. That's the first thing. And you put the movie on. First of all, you get this fantastic graphic for the opening title card, High School Musical 3, because we got to show, hey, we're in theaters now, so we got to, right? And then we get the opening song, Now or Never, which is, but I cried. I don't know. I teared up, I should say. I didn't fully get blobber until the end, but yeah. So the story of this movie is that it's their senior year, and they're putting on a senior year musical about their lives, and this is done, production-wise, movie production-wise, because then they can tell the story of what's going on and invert that into musical numbers within the performance. Like, some of the musical numbers, except for one that I'm very confused on, some of them are done and they're shown to us like, oh, they were doing this for the show, and it helps kind of weave in and out, because we see musicals, they just break into song. Some of these are part of that show. There's one I'm confused on, but we start with Now or Never, which ends up being a part of the show, but this is not part of that show. It's actually the basketball game against the West High Knights, again, because there's only two teams we have. And right away we introduce a new character, Jimmy the Rocket, played by Matt Prokop. You may know from the Disney Channel original movie, Geek Charming, which I've only seen once. It was okay. It's fine. But he was in this. It's clear, I think about it, 3 characters were set up to be replacements for those and continue on. And the more I think about it, I think maybe Matt Prokop and Ashley Tisdale maybe have one more movie on their contracts thing, because we never got High School Musical 4, and then Matt Prokop was in Geek Charming. So either they cast him because he had some kind of thing, oh, we'll put you in a movie, but it's not High School Musical 4. Sharpay got a spin-off, which I'm not going to review because I don't have it. I went by ones that I owned, although I did buy one of them, but it was not, I didn't outsource from eBay. I already own most of these. But, and I might even like, some of these, I have a tentative list that I might swap out some things for, so just keep that in mind. Not that you'll know anything. But yeah, Jimmy the Rocket is introduced, and it's clear that they were setting this guy up to be the next Troy. You know, that he was going to be the next character in a potential High School Musical 4, which never happened, despite lots of things saying there was going to be one, and then here we are 15 some years later, and still nothing. We got a Disney Plus series that has nothing to do with the characters in the movie, just it's doing the musicals that they're putting on musicals, that is the High School Musical movies in musical form. That's what it is. So they score the winning basket thanks to Jimmy the Rocket, and that's the end of that. Fabulous is now Sharpay's theme song. She is introduced with the instrumental version of it. So that's her theme song now. And despite the fact that Ryan kind of pushed away from her at the last movie, he does kind of go back to her a little bit. Although their little scheme doesn't really add anything to the movie. He's supposed to try to convince Kelsey to transpose the song that's for Troy and Gabriella and her key, but he doesn't. He ends up having some kind of love interest thing with her, but that's not really fully explored. He does ask her to the prom, although we never actually really see the prom. Not really, but, you know. Oh, I forgot, after the basketball scene, we get a scene at the Bolton house, and we get a tree house that was never there in the first two films. And by the way, did they get a new house? Because how big is their backyard? Before they just had a hoop thing. Now they have a big old backyard. Just keeps getting bigger and bigger. How can he afford this on a coach's salary? What's the mom's job? What does she do that they had this big ass house, right? But they're in the tree house, and we get the song Right Here, Right Now, which is another good one. I've said this before. I think this is the best movie when it comes to the look of it, the music. I feel like I listen to these songs more than the ones in the other two movies. I have all three soundtracks, which I wasn't gonna dig out. I don't know if they're all on the CD thing or if I have to look somewhere else for them. I don't know. But I feel like I listen to this the most. I had a computer at this time, and I would rip the music onto my computer, my Windows Media Player, and I would kind of make a playlist of all of them mixed and matched together. So, but yeah. So now the basketball game is over there contemplating college, of course. And back to now you go to the school. And again, she's trying to convince Ryan. We get the song I Want It All, which is a duet between Sharpay and Ryan. And I don't know, because it's clear it's the same stage they do the stuff in the auditorium. But I don't think this is part of... Again, I think this is like Now or Never, where this is not a part of the musical when they're performing it. But it is later in the wrong order. We'll get to that. But it's a very weird... Because when it gets to the part where the other characters show up and are like different roles, I'm like, is this supposed to be about a part of the production? Or is this just in Sharpay's head? I don't know. It's a great song, either way. But then I don't know if we're at that part yet. So, even though Troy is guaranteed to go to the U of A, he's still iffy because Gabriella's going to go to Stanford, which is in California. They're in Albuquerque, it's like 1,000 miles away. So he doesn't know, he's not entirely sure what he wants to do. And that is compounded and added to with the fact that eventually we find out that she's got early acceptance. And she leaves halfway through the movie, but her presence is still felt. They bring it up. So when it's brought up that they're going to do this musical thing, no one else has volunteered, and Sharpay wants to make a musical all about her, of course. So Kelsey writes everyone's name down on the list, and so they don't want to do it, but then when Gabriella tries to bring them together, and eventually it's Troy who convinces everyone to go and do this musicale. It's the spring musicale. You should have brought back the one chick that you said, perhaps the spring musicale. Who knows? We didn't see the actual spring musicale for 2006, so maybe they did bring her back. I don't know. But, excuse me. Yeah, so, like I said, they're playing themselves. Which gets very confusing when roles are switched around towards the end because someone leaves. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird decision to have them play themselves and then write in that one of your characters leaves halfway through the movie. He does ask her to the prom. On his rooftop secret hideout lair that now at least Taylor knows about. She's like, this has the tension written all over it. And I'm like, okay, so she really didn't know before this, but now she does. It's a secret hideout thing. By the way, Jimmy the Rocket is a creep. Because he shows up on a trampoline and he's like, hey, Troy, nice room. He's like, thanks. Wait, you're in my room? He's like, yeah, I took a picture. I'm going to make my room just like it. Call the police. But, no! Look at my dishes there. There's a speck on my phone I was trying to get rid of. So, I'm having a hard time remembering. I just watched this whole damn movie. There's a lot to talk about, though. So, okay, let's talk about when Sharpay moves. Not Sharpay. Gabriella moves. Like, she said that she got early acceptance and she is going to go to college. But during her song, it becomes very apparent that they're moving from their house. There's a for sale sign in their yard, and all their stuff is off the walls and shelves, and they leave. They didn't take the shelf, and they leave. And I'm just like, wait, she's going to college. Why is... Huh? And why is Gabriella's mom there at the end? Isn't she in the crowd? Or maybe not. I thought she was. Maybe not. I don't know. But she's at the graduation. How the hell? Everything is just all compounded together anyway by the end. But anyway. Yeah, I'm just like, wait a minute. Like, she's going to college, but why does the mom have to go with her? Like, because that doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand I'm going to have to drive, but still, I don't know. It's confusing. So now that she's gone, Sharpay is going to be Gabriella. And Tiara, who is Sharpay's new assistant, is going to be Sharpay. And Jimmy the Rocket is also Troy's understudy. Now, throughout the film, we are shown that Jimmy the Rocket has a best friend. I had no idea what his name was, so I had to look it up. I don't think they mention it just once. His name is apparently, it's Donnie Dion. I don't think they say his name once in this damn movie, and he's supposed to be one of the characters, returning characters for the fourth one. Yeah, they don't really establish these new characters much, other than we find out that Tiara wants to take over Sharpay's role as Queen Bitch. That doesn't happen, and that Jimmy the Rocket's being built up as the next Troy, but I don't know. So when it's time for prom, Gabriella says she can't come for prom because it's too complicated for her to go and to come back and all that thing, and so she's not coming. So he drives all the way down to California in his janky ass truck. Yeah, this thing has a bust. He needed to get a new radiator cap. It's yeah. Thing is a clunker. He got it in the second one. I forgot to mention that, but now he's driving around in it. It's part of this. Yeah. He does mention bringing her go for a ride in a new truck in the second one, but. Oh, here's one thing I mentioned. I forgot to mention. Juilliard, that fancy musical school, right? Performing arts school, is extending one scholarship to an exceptional student, and they're going to be watching. They're sending representatives to watch the performance, the musical, the school musical. And the applicants are as follows: Kelsey, Ryan, Sharpay, and of course Troy, which he thinks is a joke, but it's very implied and then later confirmed that it was Darvis that sent in his application, which is illegal. Can you send in someone else's application for them? I feel like that's illegal. I feel just a little bit, just a little bit. And they build it up to that he's gonna have to do this, but it's not built up enough. They're like, oh, what's going on here? Is he gonna do this? He's looking at it, and now he doesn't know where he's gonna do dance. What is it called? Theater or basketball. And it does kind of end in a kind of funny thing. We'll get to it in a minute, but so they do sort of set that up, but they don't really do anything with it till towards the end. But that's who's going to be the recipient. Who's going to be the recipient, So the musical happens, right? We get to this musical. The Junkyard one. The Junkyard Dance. The Boys Are Back, which is a Chad and Troy duet, is great. At one point, they turn little kids. I like the line, Will Smith and Bobby De Niro. I don't think they were ever in a movie together, but still. But it's a fun little thing where they're in the junkyard, they get the radiator cap, and then they're talking about, Troy's still unsure what he wants to do, but Chad wants him to go with him to U of A. That's what he was going for in the second film, and now not everything is crystal clear like you thought it would be, right? So, there's also another one, Scream, which is my favorite performance. I don't know why, but I feel like the Troy solo performances are my favorites. Bet on It from the second one is my favorite of that movie, and this one's my favorite in this movie. It's just done so well. Even with the CGI basketballs falling down, it's fine. He's in the high school. Again, though, much like with Bet on It, it does show that Darvis was watching, so I'd like to see the other point of view where he's just running around singing. Someone just sits there going, "That was wrong with this boy," But yeah. So we get the musical. Troy is not there because he went to see Gabriella, so he's been driving all night to get back. So Jimmy the Rocket is gonna take his place, and Sharpay refuses to listen to anybody who's about to tell her about Troy. He's like, first of all, Donnie Dion is told to tell Sharpay, and later when he goes in and says there's like 10 minutes or 5 minutes to showtime, she's like, well, tell Troy to come here. I want her the kissing scene. He's like, has anyone told you that? She goes, no, go get him. And I'm like, wait, you were supposed to tell her. Darvis says, tell Sharpay I but no, she still thinks it's Troy, which leads to a funny thing. So we get reprises of Now or Never with the lead sung by Chad. It's a quick little version. And I Want It All. By the way, when they're practicing All I Want to Do Is Be With You earlier on, he says, I hate to be the ones to follow that. And he says, well, that's you. Or something like that. Basically, they say that he's going to be the one following them. That song. But he doesn't. He's the second one on there. And they follow them. Him. And I Want It All reprise. And then Sharpay starts singing I Just Want to Be With You. What is it? All I Want to Do With You? It's I Just Want to Be With You. And it takes a little while for Jimmy Lee Rocket to show up. Like, what's going on? Where is he? And he shows up wearing like every clothes prop. He's got like 2 or 3 hats on. He's got a feather boa on, like 3 jackets, dancing around. And there's a thing where she's like they established earlier she's allergic to his cologne, so now she's sneezing during this performance. And then after the first verse, she runs off. And then Troy and Gabriella show up and sing the second verse. And this is the first part that I cry. Because this is basically saying goodbye to Gabriella, because they weren't able to do it. She just took off, right, during her song. So they're all hugging her and stuff. And the reason why I cry is not because they're saying goodbye. It's because I look at all these characters coming in and hugging her, and you realize that when this trilogy started, really none of them were friends with each other. Troy and Chad, the basketball guys knew each other. The smart kids knew each other. But they weren't really friends. All these people coming together and hugging her, you realize she is the reason. She is the reason. They even point out that Troy even says earlier that when she showed up at East High, she changed things. Status quo, right? And then she left, things are a little bit more different again. So, yeah. It could have been something, like if they focused the whole movie on this, it could have been interesting. Then again, the musical part, I don't know if it would have worked, but, you know. But yeah, and then Troy presents her with some roses, and everyone's all happy. And then, well, when Sharpay gets back to her dressing room, which took so long, I guess, she realizes that Tiara is about to take over. You know, she's been lying to her. She's actually a big performing arts student, and now she's going to take over everything, and it's going to be my drama department next year. And, yeah. And that's when we get the second verse of that. But then, when that ends, we go back to the locker room. Sharpay pops at him. She goes, Sharpay Evans, you're in the wrong dress. And so, the wrong costume or dress, whatever. And so we get, basically, the prom song from earlier. But it's the two of them fighting each other. And Ryan hits the button and kind of lowers them down the little thing that's on the stage, which I don't know why they have those. It's in the Phantom of the Auditorium, too, the Goosebumps episode. Why do they have those? To raise up and down on the stage, I guess, if you need to. I don't know, I feel like it's a hazard. You trip or something. If it's not up all the way, you trip and fall off the stage. I don't know. Bit of a hazard. Maybe they have it so that it can go up and lock in place so you can't. I don't know. But no, I never did much stage singing. I was in choir my freshman year, and then just I just wasn't really into it. That combined with my work schedule kind of changed everything. But yeah. So after that, we get the graduation portion where everybody is being told where they're going, and this is freaking hilarious to me because of what happened here. So they say that who's going where. They say that Kelsey is the Juilliard scholarship recipient. And I also said that, and then they call what's his name? Not Zeke. Gotcha. The other one. I can't think of his name. Ryan Sanborn is the actor, but his name's not Ryan. I don't remember his name. Whatever. He said, you did it. You graduated. basically. Jason, that's right. Jason, you graduated. You did it. You graduated. And then they said that the Juilliard has made a decision to extend a second scholarship. And of course, everyone looks at Troy, but it's Ryan for choreography. And Sharpay is going to the University of Albuquerque dance and for performing arts, whatever, and is going to help Darbus run the drama department the next year. And I fully think that if they did a fourth film, that was what would be happening. She would be there. I don't know. And then it was Troy's turn to the side. And I love this just for the audience's reactions. It's funny as hell. Because Tim and I noticed this when we watched it. He says, I've chosen basketball. And there's just a mild cheer. It's like, I've chosen basketball. Yeah. But I've also chosen theater. Yeah. It's like they really like theater better. He's going to the University of California, Berkeley, which is closer to Gabriella, who is going to Stanford, Connecticut, University of Stanford pre-law. And then Chad runs off. And so Chad is in the gym. And I'd ask how he got a basketball, but as we saw from the opening of the second film, they just leave all the basketballs laying on the floor in there. So, you know. So they basically talk it over. Like, hey, does Berkeley play? He goes, oh, yeah. We're scheduled to kick some Red Hot butt next September or next November. Whatever. Like, he would know their schedule already. But then the coach comes in and says, hey, get back on that stage. And Troy goes, I know I heard my dad say that. But yeah, and he kind of gives him a nod. And by the way, during this whole graduation, I didn't do anything. It just fell over by itself. During this whole part, while they're... Hold on. I have my nose. My nose is leaking. So, during the part where they're presenting their... where they're going to college, there is a slowed down version of We're On This Together playing in the background. And then that transitions us to the football field, which we've never seen before till now, where it is actual graduation. The song is still playing, and Troy is giving the valedictorian speech for some reason. I highly doubt he had the grades to do that. I would see maybe Gabriella or Taylor. Taylor would be the one to be a valedictorian. Come on. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, early on in the film, where Chad went to ask Taylor to go to prom, and she wanted this big old thing in front of everybody. It's kind of funny. That leads into the prom song. But, yeah, so we get one last song after the graduation, and it's called High School Musical. And it's basically this song encapsulates everything from the series, you know. Wish my life could be like a high school musical. Says you have to let it go. It's basically their goodbye song, in a way. It ends with them get on the stage, curtain come up behind them, and them jumping up like this, like they did in the original thing. It freezes, and then unfreezes, and we get the curtain call, where it shows every single one of them. And I didn't notice this the first time I watched it, but I found out afterwards. They're actually crying for real here. This is real tears that they're crying, because I think this was the last scene they filmed. So this was really a goodbye. So this was, yeah, and this is why I cry. Okay? It's this that makes me cry the most. So, yeah, and that's it. We get credits, and then there's some bloopers, but yeah, I'm gonna say it's pretty good, and I'm still gonna say this is the best one. I enjoy this a lot. I enjoy all three of these. I'm watching them in a row. I wish I could have watched all three in a row yesterday. I didn't have time, but If I had the day off, I could have, but I didn't. I don't think I've ever sat and watched all 3 in a row before. I don't know. They need to release Zombies 3 on DVD. Come on. I'm just saying. But anyway, what are your thoughts on High School Musical 3? We're going to come slow. Should I like, share, and subscribe? Thanks for watching. I'm Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.